We're ready. All right. Um, Thank you for being here today. I think there are people joining us online as well. I'm Governor Mark Gordon. I just wanted to kick this off and first off acknowledge what a devastating incident we had yesterday. Hopefully, we can provide information today that will be of some help. There we go. This will take some time to be able to resolve, and I think setting expectations. Hopefully, we get the right information to you today. I do want to let you know that I have been in touch with Secretary Nome, and she has been very much attentive to this. You've had the state and local groups working together to have more information about that today. I'm really happy that Senator Kolb is here, along with Representative Larson, Representative Wiley, Representative McCann. There's Keenan, chairman of the commission here as well. So this is a pretty good gathering. I will be quiet, but first I want to actually commend local law enforcement, our highway patrol, and especially our fire department. This has been a very tough time for your folks. I know the circumstances were really tough and did not allow for as much as everybody wanted to do. I'm particularly sad that we have a couple of fatalities at least so far. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring as much as you do. Please bear all these people in your prayers and their hearts. We'll get through this. This is what Wyoming does. And so with that, let me turn it over to Director Westby. And I'll just pass it off to you, sir.
Thank you, Governor. Again, Darren Westby, I'm the director of the Wyoming Department of Transportation. I want to echo the governor's comments and thoughts going out to our local EMS and all the support that we've had throughout the last couple of days. Sheriff, thank you again for all your coordination with the Highway Patrol. It's the support's been coming in from state, local, federal, whatever we need, and the support is definitely felt. Really want to send out the thank yous to all of them as well. As soon as we heard, we started gathering our teams together to make sure that we had the appropriate personnel on site as quick as possible. Obviously, the Highway Patrol got dispatched. They were there and dispatching a command center, and I'll turn it over here in a minute to Major Thomas to go through that. But it is truly just, it is the Wyoming way when incidents happen. Unfortunately, we had one just north of here, and it's just a constant reminder of what Wyoming does, and they just rally around a crisis. And really can't say enough about the support that we've received locally. And so thank you for that. I'm going to turn it over now to Major Thomas with the Wyoming Highway Patrol to kind of go through the law enforcement side of the house and the coordinated efforts there. Then I'll turn it over to the YDOT side of the house on the local YDOT team, and then I'll turn it over. I'll just keep going down the line here with the people that have a little bit more information. And then I'll see if the sheriff might come up and have a few words as well. So with that, Major Thomas.
Thank you, Director. Okay, sure, I'm on here. Well, good morning, or I guess good afternoon here, now that we're afternoon. I'm Major James Thomas with the Wyoming Highway Patrol. I just want to kind of briefly go over a little bit as far as operations yesterday and then what we've got going on today. So our first initial call that we've got came in for this incident about 11:38 a.m. Yesterday morning, notifying us of the crash on the westbound side of I-80 at the milepost 90 there on that in the tunnels. Initial response, once we came on scene there, we came across several vehicles involved in that westbound lane, along with an active fire, which prevented some of the life-saving measures there that we could do at that time until fire conditions could improve. I do want to thank all the agencies that responded. We definitely cannot do this without a team aspect and working together with that. So with the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Department, Green River Police Department, the Green River Fire Department, Castle Rock Ambulance, and I'm sure there's more that I'm missing off the top of my head. But as far as their response, it was a collective response, trying to initiate those life-saving measures, get people out of harm's way, get traffic shut down. That's usually our first order of priority. As that occurred, then it became the firefighting effort, which was an extended operation. That operation went well into the evening. I know working with the fire department, we started our investigation on the outside of that western side of the tunnel when conditions can improve, and we removed the victims from the scene there. Once those were going on, the fire department started working on the west side of the tunnel, and then got as far as they could, and then relocated to the eastern side of the tunnel to work inside and try to put out those fires. I do want to also thank DCI was also on scene. They responded, the Division of Criminal Investigation. They're assisting with some of our evidence collection and some mapping and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we started last night until we could at least get some of the fires out within the tunnel. Even with that being the case, conditions were still not safe for investigators and responders to go inside that tunnel because of the some structural concerns, and then also just the air quality and level of smoke that was in there with the unknowns as far as what contaminants and what hazards still existed at that time. So that's where we focused on outside as far as starting our investigation. We were contacted by the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board. They will be conducting a parallel investigation along with the Wyoming Highway Patrol. We plan on meeting with them this afternoon and getting that underway. So this morning we started to be able to at least get into the tunnel to see what those circumstances were. And then we still have some hazards that still remain in there. So that will be a long process as far as working through that investigation. So as we go through there, our plan of action, we'll start with our evidence documentation, mapping the scene. And then once we start being able to pull vehicles out and work our way into, so from west to east, documenting that evidence, and then also working alongside with the Sweetwater coroner in those circumstances, and then also the Sweetwater County Attorney's Office. So we definitely appreciate their involvement as well. We also have U.S. Department of Transportation on scene as well. They're assisting our investigators and our commercial carrier inspectors with documenting and going through evidence collection with the commercial vehicles that were involved in this. And so that's where we're at today. So it's really going to be a long process just because of the level, the magnitude of the incident, and then being able to document everything that we need to make sure that our investigation is thorough and we can get a good understanding of what happened. The community in this area is fantastic. I appreciate the support that they give our first responders. I know there's a lot of videos floating around from people that were involved in this incident. Those provide some kind of snippets of what was going on. Sometimes they don't capture the entirety of things, so they can be misleading, but that's where we're trying to gather all that information, put everything together, and have some consistent idea and fluidity of what exactly occurred, what transpired, what were some causation factors, and then be able to piece that information together, give a comprehensive report so we can have that for our community there.
Thank you, Major Thomas. Now I'd like to turn it over to District 3, YDOT engineer out of Rock Springs area.
Thank you. And I'd like to echo what's been said, that the support from all the first responders and the community of Green River, County of Sweetwater, it's very much appreciated. And as you're all probably aware, due to this incident, we've had to route traffic through Green River on Flaming Gorge Way. And we're very much aware of the impact that puts on the community of Green River. And with that said, we're working diligently on the construction and maintenance side to get miles worth of concrete barrier rounded up to get it placed. And so that we can safely run traffic head to head on the eastbound lane and through the eastbound lane tunnels. That's not a perfect solution. When you look at the width of those tunnels, we're going to be really down to an effective lane width of about 10 and a half, 11 feet. So with that said, anything over width or over height is going to have to be, we're going to have to restrict that. So those oversized loads are going to have to go around via 191, 28, 372, which I know is a hardship as well, but it's the best solution we have. And we know we can't leave traffic on Flaming Gorge Way for very long. So our goal is to just as soon as we can, 2, maybe 3 days, get that eastbound lane ready to run head to head. Randy, our structural engineer, we'll talk to it more, but before we even pulled the trigger on the option of running head to head traffic in the eastbound lane tunnel, it's been looked at thoroughly, and there's no structural issues in the eastbound tunnel. And just to kind of confirm what was going on, we also looked in the utility vaults on either end of the tunnel that are between the westbound tube and the eastbound tube, and we don't see any problems there. So that's where we're at there. We're working closely to Stephanie Harsh, our public information specialist, is working closely with Trooper Rossi on a joint release, and we plan to put out continual, factual, accurate information. So hopefully we can dispel some of the misnomers that are going around. So again, thank you, and understand we do have a sense of urgency to get this traffic back up on I-80 and let Green River go back to normal. So thank you.
Thank you, John. And if you didn't catch that, that was John Edens, district engineer out of District 3. So thank you, John. Now I'd like to turn it over to Randy Rinksmeyer. He's our bridge and tunnel inspector, structural. And so when all this was going down, the team that we assembled out of Cheyenne was James Dayhill. He's our engineering, or our geology engineering person out of Cheyenne for the entire state, and Randy as well. And then Trooper Rossi came over as well, just so we can try to gather all that information that John was talking about. So now I'd like to turn over to Randy, and he can talk about what he's seen through his initial assessment.
Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? So we came last night and we did a full assessment of the eastbound lane tunnel, and just to make sure it'd be safe to carry traffic if needed. And we didn't see any anomalies. There's no issues. Is that better? Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. And then last night we were unable to get into the westbound lane tunnel because there was a lot of smoke and other issues. We weren't able to get in there. This morning, we were able to get in and get partway in, and we noticed there's extensive fire damage in about the middle third of the tunnel. I want to say that the rock itself, there's no issues with the integrity of the rock. So we're not expecting the mountain to collapse, the tunnel to collapse. So that's not going to happen. It's safe there. The issue is that the inside of the tunnel is lined with concrete, and the fire has damaged some of that tunnel liner. And so we're actively seeing some loose concrete coming down now that the first responders are having to avoid and some of those areas. So I think we're going to continue seeing some of the concrete come down. Basically, the fire damaged the outside of the concrete. We didn't see any exposed rebar, but we're seeing a lot of debris on the ground. Inside the liner is about 1 foot 3 inches thick. Inside the liner, there's some steel ribs. And so at some point, we're hoping to get some help from our photos and surveys group and be able to use some LiDAR and be able to look at maybe the geometry, looking for any geometry anomalies. We don't want to see any sagging. We did not see that visually. As of now, there's enough wreckage inside the tunnel where we were not able to get within arm's reach. And so we're going to have to do a follow-up inspection. Once the wreckage is removed, use a lift truck. And basically every square foot of that inside that tunnel liner needs to be assessed. We need to figure out, at some point, we need to do some data collection and see how much of that liner needs to be repaired or replaced. But yeah, there is extensive damage. There's a really extensive damage as well to the lighting system. The lighting system is held up to the liner with friction anchors. And so as the concrete is damaged, that could also affect the integrity of those anchors. They could potentially pull out. So all those are going to have to be checked as well. So again, it's going to be a long process. We're going to have to probably return in the next few days and continue to looking at this. We have some contacts for some folks that may be able to help us, especially on the fire assessment, the damage to the concrete. So.
Thank you, Randy. And like I said, the last couple of days have just been filled with my phone blowing up, email blowing up of people offering support. Can't tell you how much I appreciate that. It makes me feel good as a Wyomingite to know that we have not only the personnel to handle a situation, but a lot of people just reaching out throughout the entire country. So thank you again for that. Now I'd like to.
And Darren, if I may, just a couple of things. One is that I have directed the entire agency, and it's good to see you, Senator Pearson. Thanks for joining us. I have directed all the resources of the state that are available as appropriate to be there for. So if it's DEQ or any of these others, they're to be responsive. I think it's also important to know that communication is incredibly critical here. We are working very hard to make sure that the feds, the state and the local all have the same information so that there is a clear line of communication. Incidents like this can easily lead to a lot of sort of rabbit trails or false comments or discussion points. And then the last thing I'd like to say is that knowing Flaming Gorge Way is going to have traffic that is probably not designed for. There's a lot of roads in Wyoming that now are seeing traffic that is heavier than what any of these roads were designed for. And there's infrastructure underneath that is old. And so it is important that we recognize that MRG is something that can be available for emergency situations. And we'll continue to look at that to make sure that the legislature has appropriately funded that. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Now I would like to see if any of the local PD, fire, sheriff, if you guys would like to say any words. I know I talked a little bit briefly, and I know the fire and PD are fine. But really, I just want to say thank you guys for everything that you've done, your coordinated efforts, everything that you did up in the tunnel. I know from the agency perspective, from the state's perspective, we really appreciate all your efforts. Sheriff, would you like to say a few words? Come on up, please. You can't give him your seat.
Sheriff John Grossnickel, Sweetwater County. I just want to thank all the first responders. Everybody says that we put on this uniform. We know what we're signing up to do. We don't sign up to do this. We sign up to serve. We never know what we're going to see when we go into these situations. So thanks to all the men and women on the ground, firefighters, EMS, law enforcement. More importantly, thank you to our community partners and citizens here in Sweetwater County. The outpouring has been incredible. My phone, you can ask my wife, hasn't stopped since this occurred. Food, water, I know they brought it up to the scene. I know they're asking where they can take it. Reach out to each individual agency and see if we need that or where we can take it. And we very much appreciate it. But it's Wyoming at its finest, and we're going to put our boots on and get past this and be better than we were before. And I want to thank the governor and the director and major for everything that you've done to help us along this way too. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I also want to just give a reach out to Homeland Security as well. Director Lynn Budd has been very helpful trying to coordinate some of the local emergency management side of the house. And I'd also like to commend your hospital for quickly, I don't know if the hospital's here, if you can, thank you guys for spinning up really quickly, not knowing exactly what we had, but knowing that you guys were prepared and ready to take whatever was coming, I think gave everybody a little sense of relief. So thank you all for that. And with that, I think unless anybody else has anything new or anything to say, we'll open it up for any questions if you might have any. Oh, come to the front if you have questions.
Oh, is this working? Okay. David Martin with Sweetwater Now. You would mention that the Sweetwater County Attorney's Office is involved in the investigation. Is there a criminal aspect that's being looked at right now?
In any circumstances like this, what we normally do is we brief the county attorney on the incident and have them respond to the scene. County attorney in that case would come out and just do a quick walkthrough to get eyes on, to put things into better perspective. So if criminal charges should come from this, that they have a little bit better understanding of what that scene looks like and can correlate that into the reports and everything as far as charging documents. It just helps give the county attorney's office a better perspective.
One other question. Do we have an update as far as the number of fatalities and injuries that were that resulted from this incident?
With the investigation still ongoing, I don't have a final number as far as fatalities or injuries at this point. We're still working through that. And once that information becomes available, we'll be able to release that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? Do we have any questions coming in online? One question.
Yeah, if I could, I have a couple of questions. You guys mentioned a couple of misnomers that may be out there. Are there any specific ones that we in the media can help clear up for you? Any misnomers that you can think of that we can help clear up?
John?
One that comes to mind, and I think it caused a little bit of confusion, was, things out there on media that the tunnel was imminent for collapsing. We've confirmed that that's not the case.
And then I'm wondering, were there any additions made in town to help with the influx of traffic in Green River? Were any extra streetlights or anything like that being provided to help mitigate some of those traffic concerns?
We haven't added any additional streetlights, but what we did do is we put a major priority on the green phase on Flaming Gorge Way, which took away some from Uinta Drive where it comes into Flaming Gorge Way. But we can't, if this goes on and they see a need for temporary signals at any of the intersections, we have them and we can get them mobilized.
And then finally, with winter conditions, to be navigated, a lot of commercial trucks go through that I-80 corridor. Are the roads that are used for detours prepared to and safe enough for those commercial vehicles to be able to pass through?
Yeah, yes. We use 191, 28, and 372 for a workaround for oversized, overweight loads. And they are designed with a pavement thickness to accommodate that truck traffic.
Thank you for taking my questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you. While we're seeing if there's any other questions, I just want to also reiterate, just from a traffic perspective, the 511 app that's on the Wyoming Department of Transportation website is a very good resource for traffic flow. And if there's any changes or any closures, that's your quickest way to get that information. I know our local public affairs is trying to put out as much as they can as well, but are there any other questions? Sir?
Zachary Sontag, Cowboy State Daily. I am curious to hear from the department heads here if there's anything in the experience of your tenure that in the past informs how you're approaching this, or if this incident is significantly novel to make it kind of a first of its kind.
I could start out on that. This is not really unique. This is a tragic crash. It's a tough incident to deal with, but we do have resources and practices in place for incident management. We talk about it. We have had to do it. In the eastern part of the state, we've had some pretty serious pileups in zero visibility conditions. We just recently, this district with support from headquarters, did just take care of a really critical road failure that cut off Wyoming 22 between Idaho and Jackson. And we learned the lessons from previous incidents, and we just keep applying and we learn from them. And this is a unique one, and it tests our capabilities, because it's like we've just talked about. It's a multi-agency response with various law enforcement. So it's a little different than just when the road slides in the road. When you start getting fatalities and wrecks of this magnitude, it's really a joint effort, and I'm proud of the team we've developed and the way we can respond to these. It's within 24 hours, of a little over 24 hours from when the incident first occurred, and I think it's been impressive how everybody has responded to it.
Thanks, John. Since we have a lot of people online, as you come up to the podium or you speak online for a question, if you can state your name and the agency you're with. And so if I can have you do that, if you didn't already do.
Here, it's Zachary Sontag, Cowboy State Daily.
Very good. Thank you. Major, do you want to add on to anything that John said?
Yes, thank you, Director. As far as the highway patrol, we've had incidents, very large incidents, so our investigators are very familiar with working through these and processing those scenes, especially with the technology that we've been able to acquire over the years to give us that ability to document and gather evidence. The uniqueness of this one is the fact that it was in the tunnel and how the fire started in the tunnel, which prevented our response into the tunnel. So that's kind of where we're going to see the delay as this investigation unfolds. If this exact incident would have happened outside of the tunnel, then our response would have been a little bit quicker in getting through that investigative process. But working through this, it's just going to take some time to access that and then be able to document as we go through and collect evidence and get that investigation underway.
And I just want to add, it's important that people drive carefully, especially during bad conditions. It is interesting to me that with all the great features and safety elements that are in our vehicles and our cell phones and everything else, the distraction and maybe not driving with a common sense approach of it's icy, their conditions are dangerous, I should slow down, I should take a little more distance between, perhaps we could have avoided having quite such a chain reaction if we had had a little bit more ability to kind of recognize the conditions at hand.
And I would just echo, as I'm looking out the window right now with all the bypass traffic going by, even more so now, even on the bypass road, to ensure that motorists are being cognizant of their behavior while they're driving through this town. Another question?
Yeah, if I could ask a follow-up. It does seem like a genuinely unique incident. However, I do hear from locals that accidents in the tunnel themselves are not unique, and it suggests that maybe there are some longer-term safety projects that are being overlooked, like ice in the tunnel or whatever it may be. But if it's part of a pattern of accidents that happen in the tunnel, is there a sense of heightened responsibility to attack it from a broader purview, as opposed to just this is a one-off kind of unique incident?
You're correct in that. We do have crashes that occur in the tunnel. This is unique as far as the significance of it and the fire that started as a result of the crash itself. We do work pretty diligently with our YDOT partners, our Department of Transportation, as far as implementing safety measures within the tunnel, with reducing the speed limit, with our variable message boards to try to alert traffic to changing conditions. And then also our maintenance folks out there that are trying to monitor the road surface conditions and do surface treatment as needed. I don't know of any other safety measures that are underway for the tunnel itself. I'll leave that to our district engineer there, if he's got anything in the works or any thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you, Major. We do run a safety management system, and when we see incidents such as this one or any even individual fatals, we do an evaluation of the geometry in the area, try to come up with, what was the first harmful event? Is there something we can do with treatments to mitigate that type of accident? And that's one thing that the National Transportation Safety Board will do. They'll spend a week, and we'll have a YDOT person on the team, we'll have patrol people on the team, and they'll really evaluate thoroughly this incident. And one of the goals of that investigation is to make recommendations. So, if something comes out of NTSB, we'll definitely, get the money budgeted and address it. So, we could come out with some kind of a de-icing system, automated de-icing system. And we've looked into those before, and not to get too far down in the weeds, but we've looked at it. We've got a unique situation in Wyoming where we have cold temperatures and winds, and there's a rule not to put down liquid de-icers if the temperature is below 17 or the wind's above 17 degrees, or miles per hour. So you got to be really careful, because in some cases de-icers can cause it to get slicker than if you had not de-iced it. So I'm not discounting it, but it takes some real science and some real deliberation when to use liquid de-icers. But to your point, we will evaluate this incident. Is there something we can do with maybe the grinding and the friction in the tunnel? I'm definitely going to have a debrief with our maintenance plow operators and refresh their memory on, our procedures for attacking ice. It's just not that we probably maybe didn't do anything wrong, but it's something we've got to talk about and have those serious discussions. Is there anything we could have done to prevent this?
Thank you, John. Constant improvement's always what we strive for. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, one last follow-up. So it sounds like the timeframe you're hoping for opening the eastbound tunnel for 2 lanes of traffic is going to be around 3 days from now. Is the target
3 days, and we got a lot of moving parts to put together. We should know better by the end of today, early tomorrow. And like I said, as soon as we have contractors on board, have the barrier located, and we have control over the timing, we will put that out in a press release.
Any ballpark estimations about repairs on the westbound tunnel?
No idea. We won't have any idea until we get in there and do the LiDAR survey. And we're talking about doing some checking with the thermal cameras to see if there's any hot spots in that concrete. And like Randy said, we need to go through and check every square foot of that concrete liner. And that could mean coring. That could be doing some different testing on it. So until we know the extents of the repairs and what the scope of work is to repair it, it would be, I couldn't even give you a guess.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Next question comes online from Audrey McAvoy, Associated Press.
Audrey?
Yes, hi. My name is Audrey McAvoy. I'm with the Associated Press. I was wondering if you are able to say how many vehicles are still inside the tunnel?
Right now, we don't have a count on all the vehicles involved mainly because of just the length of time it's taken our investigators to get through there and the safety concerns at this point.
Are you able to estimate maybe how long it will take to be able to conduct that estimate?
We should hope we're working through today, and we'll probably work through tomorrow as well. But I'm hoping that by the end of the day, we'll have a better idea as we start to move vehicles out to be able to access what's in the tunnel there safely. Right now, as you go into the tunnel, just with some of the safety concerns of our investigators, it's just hampering us as far as getting back into the center of that tunnel to take a good look as far as the number of vehicles that are involved and the types.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Major. Representative?
Thank you all for being here. JT Larson, representative for House District 17. Sorry, I'm a little hoarse today. Anyways, I know that this community has had discussions in the past of the need for a alternative route between Rock Springs and Green River. And in this situation, that really could be helping our traffic issue, completely avoiding the tunnels and the navigations between or the problems, the complications with getting trucks in there and oversized loads and all that. So I guess Director and Mr. Edens, where has that discussion been left off at? And is there more that we need to do? I know that it's an expensive project and it's more of a long-term solution, but it could be an option for our community. So, because oftentimes there are accidents and between Rock Springs and Green River, and could be an alternative. So just wonder what your thoughts are.
Thank you, Representative. I know Wyoming Department of Transportation and our commission have looked at that road as the alternate road for quite a while. And you're right, it's going to be an expensive venture to go forward with that. John, do you have any other comments? I know from a planning perspective, it's on the table. That's about as far as I know, but maybe John has more information.
Yeah, thank you, Director. Yeah, the discussion on that alternative route between Rock Springs has been going on for before my tenure in Rock Springs, back to the 80s. But we've looked at it. We've looked at it with the city of Green River, Rock Springs, the county involved, and in my opinion, it would be nice, but in today's money, you know, a road that would be all weather that could carry traffic in the winter and in the event of issues carry semis, 80,000, 117,000 pound loads. That road would probably be now pushing the 50 million, $60 million price range. I think when we looked at it back in 2010-ish, it was 30, 2012. Yeah, I was here. But yeah, it was 30. And I think we can safely say that construction costs have doubled since then. So it boils down to, you know, we've got a lot of priorities around the state and especially within this district, and it's hard to keep up with I-80. And I know that's the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room, but it's a fact. If we don't, you know, do 2 to 3 significant pavement rehabilitation jobs on I-80, we get situations like you folks have seen, Granger Junction to the county line job, out towards the east, Bitter Creek and Patrick Draw. We're on the edge of seeing that happen in the Tipton section and the Wamsutter section. So it'd be hard to peel off $60 million from District 3's annual budget to do that road. So it boils down to, you know, what are our priorities? And I live in Rock Springs. I would love to have that alternate route when I wanted to pull a boat to the gorge or a trailer house. But it just boils down to what we can afford.
Thanks, John. Any other questions?
All right, guys. Yeah, I thought maybe if fire could address this, if possible. But we talked about the unique situation of a fire like this in the tunnel. If you can maybe provide context to some of the challenges, and also I want to ask if all the crews got out of there safe while fighting that as well.
Governor, everybody. So all the fire crews, everybody got out safe as far as emergency responders, from state troopers to everybody else, EMS. And as far as getting everybody out, we definitely got everybody that we could get out. And we definitely saved a lot more than anything else. So some of the things that we're facing, and there's a lot of debris, which we're thankful for the team that came down. We're working diligently with them, and we'll continue to do so till we get these fires out that are still inside that we're working on. Once we get the vehicles out that we can do that, we'll make sure we get that done.
Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Jordan. Any other questions, Senator?
Yeah, thank you to everybody for coming. I'd like to give a thanks to all the community for responding to this, our hospital. It was a big event, and everything went really well. And I thought that's certainly accolades to what we do here as working together. Governor, for coming here and recognizing this is a huge issue for us, and everyone else who's responded, I think is very much appreciated. I think in the beginning there are lots of different information going around. I think we'll look forward to knowing more, but I just wanted to add one thing about those tunnels that I think locally a lot of people do understand that drive back and forth a lot, that the weather on the other side of that tunnel heading westbound is drastically different than the tunnel weather on the other side. And I don't know if that's wind or what exactly makes that happen, but it could be snowing like crazy on their side of the tunnel, and on this side, oddly enough, not. So I look forward to the experts reviewing this situation and coming up with a solution. I am currently on Transportation and Military Affairs Committee with the state, and I'll be happy to do what I can to, if there's a need for changes, to support that change. Most importantly, look forward to the experts telling us what we can do to effectively make this a more safe situation. But thank you again for coming, and I just want to thank our community for what they've done, all of our first responders, and dealing with this problem. And thank you again.
Thank you, Senator. And thank you for your support. Any other questions? All right. Well, hearing that there are no other questions, I'll turn it over to the governor to wrap us up. But again, I just want to thank everybody, as the senator did, and everybody else. The cooperation and the assistance has been very much appreciated. Thank you again to the community and the hospital, like you said, Senator. It's going to take us all to get through this, and really appreciate it. And Governor?
Okay, well, again, thank you for being here today. We'll try to keep you apprised of information as it is available. Really want to thank, obviously, the community, just as everyone else has, but there have been some really heroic efforts on the part of our fire, EMS, some of our troopers, even off-duty troopers. That's going to be tough for them. Please give them support, reach out to them. This community is phenomenal in the way it's responded. Thank you to the hospital and others. We'll get through this, and just appreciate you being here today. Thank you.
One more thing, Governor, sorry, not to step back a little bit, but we are sending our employee assistant program team out to assist with not just our team, but if any on your team, I don't know where the sheriff went, but any on your team would like to meet with our employee assistance program people, it's available. So thank you. And with that, we'll conclude the press conference. Thank you all for being here.